Hey guys, so sorting through this stack of red cards, which when I'm finished with it will mark the halfway point through Urza's block. After which all I'll have is the black, blue, artifact, and land, and then the whole last set of the block. So I figured now would be a good time to, mention it since I'm in the middle of sorting and I came across a huge clump of more or less interesting stuff. More or less. Shivan Phoenix, 6 mana for a 3/4 flyer. Returns to your hand when he goes to the graveyard. It's not bad. I don't think he's great. I mean, there's a reason why that he's never seen any real competitive play. I wouldn't doubt if someone splashed him into a competitive deck at some point or another, but back in the day, that high casting cost in red, no, it just doesn't work. Lava Axe. Yes, you have Urza's block to thank for our Lava Axe. I'm not particularly keen on Lava Axe. I'm really not. I mean, it's just not exemplary in any way, shape, or form. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of damage, but it's only to a player, and it's a lot of mana. I believe I want to say it's Unstable Footing from Zendikar block. It's a single red with a kicker of 3 colors and a red, and it's an instant. It says creature, I'm trying to think, it's like damage can't be prevented till end of turn, or creatures can't block, or some craziness like that, and if you paid the kicker cost, it does 5 damage to target player. I can't remember exactly what it does, but it's outright better than Lava Axe because it has some kind of functionality if you pay it without paying the kicker. And if you do play the kicker, it's an instant speed Lava Axe for all intents and purposes. I honestly can't remember what the heck it does. Avalanche Riders! Oh, they were good. They're still good. I don't have enough of them, in my opinion. 3 colors and a red for a 2/2, echo, haste, hits the board, nuke a land. Oh yeah, kids finds fun stuff. There's also the Vaishino Cutthroat in there. He's 2 colors and double red for a 5/3 haste at end of turn, return him to owner's hand. There's also the colors in red for a 2/1 Sand Scout that does the same thing. And they're all plays on the Vaishino, I want to say Warrior? I can't remember. There were 2 Vaishino in Mirage block. One was a 4/2. I can't remember if he had haste or not. And the other was a 4/2 haste, return to your hand at end of turn. So, yeah, they're doing plays on that. The Vaishino were big players in Urza's Saga. As for goblins. Oh well, speaking of which, there's the Goblin Medic. He's a 1/1 for 2 colors and a red. Whenever he becomes tapped, deals 1 damage to target creature or player. If you have anything with an activation cost of tapping a creature, that's something that goes in there. Or tapping a permanent. Either way, Either way. Gitu Slinger, I have a bunch of him. I drafted him pretty highly. He's a 2/2 for 2 colors and a red with echo. When he hits the board, it's 2 damage to target creature or player. In retrospect, you could probably print him today without echo as an uncommon, and people would go gaga for him. Well, I don't know about gaga, but people would like him. Or even just up his casting cost to a colorless and 2 red. It'd be fine. There's Rack and Ruin, 2 colors and a red for an uncommon, destroy 2 artifacts. It's an instant. Tack a red onto it, and I believe turn it into a sorcery, and you've got into the core. Granite Grip. I started drafting it highly after I saw someone use it nastily against me. 2 colors and a red for a creature enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 for each mountain you control. He put it on D2 Fire Eater. The dude taught me how useful it was. Put it on D2 Fire Eater. It's a 2/2 for 2 colors and a red. You tap and sacrifice it to deal damage to target creature or player equal to its power. Yep, there's a G2IO Fire Eater. A couple turns later, I'll throw Granite Grip on it. It's huge. I'll chuck it at you. It's a nice finisher. Viashino Heretic, I think I've got 3 sitting here. I know I've got at least 1 in a deck somewhere. This guy should be an EDH staple. If he's not, he should be. 2 colors in a red for a 1/3, colors red, tap, destroy target artifact, deals damage to that artifact's controller equal to the artifact's casting cost. That's nice. That's nice. Defender of Chaos, I mentioned the other day he'd be coming up. He's a 2/1 pro white flash for 2 colors and a red. Thinking about it, you'd think flash would be a mechanic that would be in flavor for red, but it's really not, because for the most part the big thing with flash is to be able to ambush your opponent with blockers when he's not expecting them. Flash has predominantly been seen in white, and to a lesser degree blue and green. I want to say, I'm trying to remember, I know I've gotten this wrong in the past too, so don't quote me too heavily on it, but I want to say the first creature that effectively had flash was King Cheetah in Visions, but don't quote me on that. I know there was a Banalish Knight in Weatherlight, and I think I might have brain farted and said he was one of the first, if not the first, or something crazy like that. I can't remember. But, yeah, not 100% certain at this point. But, I think what would be better for red would be like a 0 casting cost creature with haste that had some sort of weird redonkulous echo cost, or when it came into play it did a crap ton of damage to you. It's like, what is that? It's a 0 casting cost red creature. When it comes into play, it does crazy crap to me. What is he? It's 0 mana for, I'll say like a 3/1 haste. When he comes into play, sacrifice a land, and he deals 2 damage to you, whatever, something like that. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Rivalry, 2 colors and a red, enchantment during each player's upkeep. If that player controls more land than any other, Rivalry deals 2 damage to him or her. I don't think that could really get played today. I mean, 2 damage isn't much. It's an obscure effect, but I don't know. I don't know. Then I'd have to double check what the Oracle wording on it is too, because the wording as it sits right there is a little bit, a little bit wonky, because like, wait a minute, does that mean if he has more lands than any other player, or all other players? Because yeah, they were still trying to cement the wording back in the day, but they had gotten a lot better with it at the time. Gitu Warcry, I've got a play set of it. It's an okay card, it's not bad. 2 colors in red, enchantment, you pump red mana to give target creature +1/+0 till end of turn. In some respects, it's basically gives all of your creatures fire breathing. Any kind of skulking type creature, though that particular mechanic might get re-nicknamed Illusion, but basically a creature that dies when it becomes targeted. Yeah, Gitu Warcry basically is really good for wiping those off the board. Unfortunately, there weren't a whole heck of a lot of them back in the day. There still aren't, for that matter. Though there's more, a lot more now in M12 with the various illusions they have. Kid science fun stuff. A couple other things we got here. We got a Molten Hydra. He's a 1/1 for a colorless and a red. You pump 1 colorless and double red to give him a +1/+1 counter. And you tap him to remove all +1/+1 counters from him, and to deal 1 damage to target creature or player for each +1/+1 counter removed. We've also got an Impending Disaster. During your upkeep, if there's 7 or more lands in play, sacrifice Impending Disaster and destroy all lands. It's kind of nice. We've got Goblin Welder. He's ridiculous. Red for a 1/1 tap. Exchange target artifact a player controls for target artifact in that player's graveyard. And About Face, which is a red for an instant that swaps a creature's power toughness around. About Face used to be part of, I believe, was a second turn kill in Standard. Yeah. Because there was a card in, trying to remember which block. Was it in Mask's block? I'm trying to remember. Mask's block came after Urza's block, but there was a card that was like a second turn kill with that thing. It was a single white mana for like a 1/1 creature that you could pitch cards from your hand to give it +0/+4 till end of turn. So the idea is you play that turn 1, swing with it, pitch a bunch of cards, and About Face it. I'm trying to remember. I want to say it was Mask's block. I'm trying to remember. I can't clearly recall. Another thing to keep in mind, of course, is that Standard didn't. I don't think Standard quite rotated the way that it does now. I'm trying to remember when the Standard started becoming the two most recent blocks. I mean, Mirage was the first. Mirage was close to being the first real block. At first, they started pitching Mirage block as Merv Light, Mirage Vision's Weatherlight. And then there was Tempest block, also called Wrath Cycle. I think Tempest block sounds a little bit better. But yeah, I'm trying to recall how far back Standards would go at times, because I mean, I remember back in the day, everything from at one point everything from Mirage, everything pre-Urza's all the way back to Fallen Empires, I think was Standard legal at one point in time. I don't recall what happened when Urza's came in. All sorts of crazy things happened. Standard used to be called Type 2. They were, when I first got into it, there were basically two classes of tournaments, Type 1 and Type 2. Type 1 was pretty much the same. It was basically just about anything, banned the screw with the anti-cards, and restricted, banned on, and a bunch of cards were restricted. Nothing was banned if they didn't absolutely positively have to ban it, which pretty much meant almost nothing. Though a lot of cards were restricted because they were really, really powerful and wonky. You know, stuff like, of course, you know, the Power 9, Balance, etc., etc. Oh well. Was there anything else I wanted to mention today? No, I can't think of anything. Can't think of anything. So yeah, there were a couple other, you know, funky cards here. Like there was like Parch, which would deal damage. I'm trying to remember how much damage it dealt. I want to say Parch was a 2-drop. Was it a 2-drop? There it is. It was a 2-drop. It was a 2 to target creature, a player, or 4 to a blue creature. It was kind of funky. I mean, casting cost was a little on the high side for 2 damage at instant speed, but the optional color hosing was nice, and that's the way really color hosing should be done for the most part. Is here's a card with you know, a ho-hum effect, but it gets really good if used against a specific color. You know? But I guess that's just me. I don't know. I don't know. Alrighty. calling the video done for the day. I'll finish filing this away sometime this evening. Or I do grocery shopping. All I've really got to eat around the house is ramen and some ice cream that's been sitting in my freezer for a while, which is probably kind of freezer burnt. Oh, and I've got some Gentleman Jack in the freezer too. I started putting alcohol in the freezer back a long time back. Well, not a long time, but a few years ago. Was it a few? I'm trying to think. When was it? 2007. I started doing that, I guess. You know, I've just kept doing it. I guess overall, I just think it's better than just putting ice in your drink. It's like no, this shit's cold. I'm sorry, didn't mean to say that. This stuff's cold, Yeah, I apologize for saying that this time. When I talked about that fellow the other day, I'm not apologizing for that. I'm really not. Okay, have a good one, fellas.